boys and girls, and welcome to Buckeye Wars. Hey, do you like reptiles? What do you think about snakes? No, they're not slimy. I know you may have been led to believe that snakes are slimy. No, they're not slimy. They're kind of scary to some people. But when I was a kid, my dad, or actually we, I suppose, had two boa constrictors. My dad had built two very large terrariums, and we kept them in our garage. We had one 7-foot, 10-inch boa constrictor, and we had another one 5-foot, 7-inch boa constrictor. They were humongous. And in town there was a pet shop, Jungleland Pets, and my dad would go in there every now and again and buy up 2 or 3 big old white rats, and he would feed them to the boa constrictors. He would drop one into the cage, the terrarium, and that snake would just sit there, and he'd watch that rat run around and get all tired, and the rat was freaking out because it knew it was in trouble. But boa constrictors are just that. They're constrictors, so they're not poisonous. Their way of survival is not to bite things and render them powerless. They restrict, which means they wrap around and crush their victims. So this little rat running around, oh my god, running from corner to corner and just freaking out. The snake just sits there, and he's all stealth, and he's watching it go back and forth and back and forth. And then all of a sudden he strikes and catches that rat, and then he wraps his big old body around it and squeezes. And he renders that tiny little white rodent completely done. And then swallows it head first. And you can watch this bulge in the snake as it digests its meal. Yeah, picture a snake with a big old bump in it, and that bump moves its way down the snake. Now, the bigger of the two snakes, for whatever reason, ours didn't eat as well as it was supposed to. So there was times where my dad had to force feed it, and that was tough. It was doable, but tough. And that was a problem, because if it didn't eat, it's going to die. And unfortunately, one time when he was force feeding it one of these rats, the teeth from the rats punctured the snake's, I guess, neck, and that's not good. That's not good at all. So that was the end of our big guy. My dad had to cut its head off because it was a goner, because it had a hole in its neck. That was a sad day. But owning these boa constrictors made us kind of popular on our court that we lived on in DORADO Hills, California, because as kids growing up with snakes, we weren't afraid of them, and they were our snakes. So every once in a while we would take that snake out and we would drape it over our neck and walk around in the court and show it to people, and they would ooh, ah, ooh, ick, But it was our snake. It was our pet. And it made us kind of a focal point for the court and the neighborhood for while we were prancing around with our snake. Now, one other thing comes to mind is my dad taught high school at taught English at Elk Grove High School, and during the school year he had a big old terrarium in his classroom, and he had one of the snakes in his classroom as a pet in the classroom, and gave the students something to look at when they were daydreaming and not paying attention to their studies. And this wasn't a problem. The principal was okay with it. And one day my dad comes into the classroom, the snake's gone. He's like, oh shit. Where's my snake? And he looks around and he looks around and he looks around, and he had a big ceramic bowl in his classroom. And he looked down into that ceramic bowl, and that snake had gotten into that ceramic bowl and coiled up and was hiding in that ceramic bowl. So my dad, being a snake man, reaches in to pull him out of that bowl. Now this snake wasn't having any part of that, and grabbed his hand. And the bite from a boa is really not that big of a deal, because they got little itty bitty teeny tiny teeth, and the power in their jaw is not all that, because their power is in their body, their restrictive powers. And but it chomped down on his hand, and so he had to get a little bit of first aid on his hand. It wasn't really that big of a deal, but it made a mark. And so he decided that it was time to bring that snake home, put it at the terrarium at home instead of having it in his classroom for the rest of the school year, because if he could escape once, he's probably going to try to escape twice, 3 times, and 4 times, and that ain't good at all. If that thing got loose in the school, it'd be on the news. Anyway, thank you for watching Buckeye Wars.